Mistress Vania Changes Jobs. Episode 5. Amanda always worked hard. She saw this as one of her best qualities. Even when the work was boring or tedious, she applied herself fully. Drawing on this for strength, she surveyed the scene before her. She would need courage. Others might turn and run. She would be putting herself in harm's way. But she was a journalist. Sometimes you cannot choose the news you cover. Sometimes the news you cover is a regional dog show. Amanda could see a fat man with a beard and jodhpurs arguing with a woman in her 60s. "I ought to charge you $1,200, said the woman. "That's how much I charge for bitches to be serviced by Marko." Marko was an incredibly rare Pharos Hound with an incredibly small head. To Amanda it looked like a sand-coloured, out-of-proportion greyhound. Marko's owner, the indomitable Miss Smithton, was a woman with lipstick that had the consistency of Vaseline. Her lipstick was further ruined by her pipe smoking. With skin like driftwood and hair dyed the colour of rust, she was about as attractive as her out-of-proportion dog. The fat man's name was Jim, and his dog was a spaniel called Rose. Its erratic head-swinging movements suggested that it was not very intelligent. "Your dog is an animal," shouted the man. "Of course it's an animal," replied Mrs. Smithton. "It's a dog. What else would it be? A potted fern?" "It's a beastly animal," said Jim, getting more specific. "Is there any other kind?" said Miss Smithton. "You should be grateful. Marko is the greatest of his kind." Jim looked disgusted. "I'm going to have dreadful mongrel pups," complained Jim, looking despairingly at his spaniel. Amanda assumed that the two dogs had somehow been involved in a recent amorous encounter. "You're not going to have anything," said Miss Smithton. "It's the dog that will be having the puppies." Amanda felt this was a pedantic distinction. Miss Smithton put her pipe back into her mouth and stared down Jim. Outraged, Jim picked up his dog and set off across the large grassy field. "Who are you?" asked Miss Smithton, having just noticed Amanda. "I'm Amanda," she said, only to be cut short by Miss Smithton. With her pipe sometimes used as a pointing device, and other times clenched between her teeth, Miss Smithton set about giving an unsolicited telling of her life story. This woman, Amanda concluded, dwelled on the negative. "Who did you say you are again?" asked Miss Smithton, looking at the expensive professional camera around Amanda's neck. "I'm a journalist," said Amanda. "Oh," said Miss Smithton. "I suppose you work for that Camp Narcissus Siegfried. I felt very sorry for the cow." "No," said Amanda. "The paper was sold. I work for someone else." "I don't speak to the press," said Miss Smithton. "I don't give interviews." "You already have," said Amanda. With Miss Smithton momentarily speechless, Amanda left her and headed in the direction of some more potentially newsworthy shouting. The cause of the commotion was Horace Pratt, who was wearing a sombrero and wrestling an alpaca on a dog lead. The large hat made Amanda question whether this person was really the same intrepid newspaper editor that was her boss. Either way, the voice was unmistakable. "That's discrimination," shouted Horace, literally throwing his sombrero onto the ground. The dog show official, an unhappy woman in slacks and official T-shirt, stood looking at Horace. She appeared to be searching for a decorous way to explode. Eventually she gave up and just shouted at him. The veins in her neck were clearly visible. "It's not a dog," the official shouted. "It's not even a member of the dog family. It's an alpaca." "It's a Patagonian Saluki," said Horace defiantly. "You might think your dog show is the cat's pajamas, but you don't even know your dog breeds. You should buy a book and study up on it at home before coming out here and haranguing me." "Take it away," shouted the official, gesturing extravagantly with her arms. "I know why you're doing this," said Horace, picking up his sombrero. "You're doing it because I'm a Mexican. It's a race thing. You should be pleased and proud to have me in your dog show. But for the fact that I'm a Latino, well, shame on you and your bigoted worldview." "You don't even look like a Mexican," said the official. "Sorry," said Horace, eyeballing the official. "I guess I have to conform with your racial stereotypes in order to be believed. Would it be easier for you to believe me if I had a taco in one hand and a bottle of tequila in the other? Maybe. If I said I'd come to cut your lawn, then you'd be more inclined to believe me then." "You're insane," said the official. "I'll call the police if you don't get rid of this animal. It doesn't belong here. It's an alpaca, not a dog." "We're in the middle of a field," said Horace. "Even if it was an alpaca, a point I am in no way conceding, then that's exactly where it should be." "It may well belong in a field, just not this one," said the official, trying to push the alpaca in the direction of the gate. The alpaca made a deep reaching noise. Its bottom lip sagged and hung loose as it began to regurgitate something green that had once been grass. It spat with incredible power at a passing Labrador, hitting the animal in the head and the neck. The owner of the Labrador was ready to speak her mind, but instead she saw that the alpaca was in the process of reloading its mouth, so both she and her dog decided to flee. "See what you've done," said Horace to the official. "You've upset him now. Patagonian Salukis are very sensitive." "That's it," said the official, pushing hard at the alpaca as if they were both part of a rugby scrum. "Sorry, madam," said Horace, after the fleeing woman and her dog. "It will wash off, hopefully, with a bit of baking soda and water." At point-blank range the alpaca spat huge quantities of green slime into the face of the official. She fell to the ground as though she had been shot. "Hello, Horace," said Amanda, looking casually at the fallen official. "Amanda," said Horace, trying to hold back his alpaca, which had decided it wanted to chase a schnauzer. "Are you going to take a photo of all that? The online readership is very interested in photos. They are visual readers." Amanda took a couple of photographs as the official writhed on the ground. "It burns. I'm blind," said the official. Amanda ignored the woman, took some pictures of Horace posing with his alpaca. "Horace," asked Amanda, "when I said I wanted to cover a dog show because nothing ever happened, was this your idea of helping me?" "Kind of," said Horace. "We only have reporters in half of our regions. In fact, you're the only one of our distributed staff members who's answering my emails. Bottom line is, there is not much copy to edit. In fact, so far this week, there is absolutely nothing to edit. So, since I missed you so much, I thought I'd just pass through and be a Mexican." "Well, it was very kind thought," said Amanda with a smile. "These people are so obnoxious. I hope everyone in Hapton Shufti isn't like this. You make a lovely Mexican, by the way, especially since you've never been to Mexico." "A lot of nice people have dogs," said Horace, "but these events have an unusual concentration of obnoxious people, more than can be found in the general population. But the same can be said for classic car clubs. Years ago I made the mistake of joining one. Don't tell me Hapton Shufti has one of them as well." "Yes," said Horace, "but the Concours d'Elegance was earlier this year. Now you are settling in?" "The office is a very strange place," said Amanda. "With all of Siegfried's stuff there, it's got an unsettling atmosphere. I'm very glad I never met him. As for the house, at least it was empty. Although a couple of chairs and a sofa would have been nice. I found a second-hand furniture place, bought a table and chairs and a sofa for next to nothing. Even got them delivered by an old man in a very old truck." "I'm very pleased to hear that," said Horace. "I know you're a city girl and that Hapton Shufti is not a natural fit. I'm sure you'll make a good fist of it, though." "You mean I should hate it," said Amanda. "We're all adjusting to this in our own way," conceded Horace. "I can't say I'm really thrilled either with the new model of editing for the digital newspaper. It's like a school newspaper. Half the stories don't get written, and the rest are late and rubbish. I'm counting on you to do good work. The gaps I fill up with stuff I've written myself." "I hate Hapton Shufti because nothing is happening," said Amanda, taking a photograph of a very cute dog. "It would take a league of serial killers and an asteroid strike to put this place on the map." "You would have to wipe it off the map in order for anyone to notice it was there," said Horace, looking pensive. "It's got potential. Maybe you could do a 'Science Warns of Natural Disaster Threat' story. It's a tried and true formula, but you could give it a local angle. I'll look into it. This area may be prone to earthquakes. I'll see if I can find a scientist who can't rule out the possibility of an earthquake in Hapton Shufti." As they talked, they walked slowly through the chaos of dogs and their owners. People were running in fear of Horace's alpaca. "What about unsolved crimes?" said Amanda. "Any unsolved murders? I've needed something to get my teeth into." "There was some euthanasia," said Horace absently. "That's hardly the same. These things go to court and the judge wishes someone else was dealing with it. There's a detective called Rake. He's Hapton Shufti's only real detective." "I can take a look at some crime statistics for the region," said Amanda. then arrange to interview him on law and order issues. It doesn't matter if they've gone up or down. It will be 500 words of police working with the community to achieve better outcomes and beneficial learnings. And then while I'm there, I can ask him about all his unsolved murders. Sounds good, said Horace. Just so long as you can turn the copy round quickly. Online advertisers don't like advertising news websites with no articles. You've been here before, said Amanda. Is there anywhere good to eat? There's a pub 10 minutes' walk from here. Dozen nice sausages and mash with onion gravy, and there's a local beer on tap. I'm sold, said Amanda. I have my story about the deranged Mexican with the alpaca posing as a dog, and I have photographs. That's enough material for one day. I'm not going to get anything more out of these people, and I'm famished. Over their meal, Amanda complained about how little there was for her in Hapton Shufti. She was also surprised at how happy she was to see Horace, even if the physical presence of Horace was like looking at a condemned building wearing an azurite blue waistcoat and red braces. The way you eat sausages makes me think you are a medical miracle, said Amanda, who had to agree the sausages were very good. I'm too old to die young, said Horace, and at this point in my life healthy eating could kill me. In the house, Siegfried's former house, said Amanda, leaning forward in a conspiratorial fashion, there is a door that leads to another room in the house. It's locked. I took every key in the office and tried it in the lock. Nothing fits. What kind of lock is it? Asked Horace. It's a bolted door, said Amanda. The lock itself is a padlock, steel and brass. Looks quite new. Family members took everything, said Horace, thoughtfully sipping his pint of beer. Doesn't make sense that they should lock the door after they'd cleaned out the house. Maybe they couldn't open it either. Locked and left, said Amanda, looking pleased. So it wasn't you that locked it, or any of your friends' people? Hell no, said Horace, shaking his head. You're the vanguard. I've never even visited the house. As for the office, I only visited there when he was alive. So his stuff could all still be there, said Amanda, locked behind the door with no key. Go get 'em, Nancy Drew, said Horace. Judging by what he had in his office, I'm not sure I'm in a hurry to solve the mystery of what's in the locked room. Nothing good, I'm guessing. Yes, that's true, said Amanda, wincing. I saw the urinal and the self-portraits. I thought it was a wind-up. But you were serious. No, what I'm thinking is that he was a muckraker. There might be files and photographs and who knows what. Stuff that he was not trusting enough to keep in his office. It could be explosive dirt. It could be defamation, said Horace, always the editor. Siegfried was a fanatical, weird guy with delusions that he was going to crack open some great political conspiracy, but at his core he was a self-promoter. His primary motivation was never profit. It was self-aggrandizement. It certainly wasn't making money. It paid its way, but the whole enterprise was based on his vanity. Anything you find behind that door, in journalistic terms, is to be considered toxic waste. You can't know that for sure, said Amanda. Even weirdos are right sometimes. I don't expect you to understand, said Horace, with a mouthful of sausage. He wrote the Lesbian Kama Sutra and published it under his own name. Long prose descriptions and tasteful pencil sketch illustrations. He walked us through the entire book at one of the meetings. He even tried to give me a copy and sign it. The story is out there, not behind some door. Just call it an old newsman's hunch. After the meal, Amanda and Horace stood outside of the pub. The alpaca, which had been tied to a railing, had chewed through the dog-lead and escaped. I wonder where it went, asked Amanda, looking around. Back to the field I stole it from, I expect, said Horace absently. A friend of mine, she's dead now, but back in the day, she had a tax rort in Spain that involved farming those damn things. Not a lot of people know this, but they go ape over one particular brand of breakfast cereal, which makes them very easy to steal.